think when it comes to privatization, one should approach the privatization process and the privatization challenge in a more wider and more holistic approach. It's not only about capital, it's not only about expertise, it's not only about technology that goes along with new investments, it goes along with international player. I think the social economic impact that action can and inevitably will have to the region, to the community, to the people is equally important. For us, striking a balance between growth, investments and community and society is a must, and it's among our prime priorities. I think we have a very robust plan going forward. The budget for this year is approximately 2 billion, 1 billion for the next year. And it's not only the size and the complexity of the assets that we have to deal with, it's primarily the urgency with regards to the actual results that we need to deliver. Bear in mind that by the end of first half of this year, we are closing to the end of the program. So I think it's very crucial for Greece to be able to demonstrate to our European partners, to the member states, that commitment, consistency and efficiency are within the principles of the country. And I feel that the Asset Development Fund has a key role to play to that respect. First, we place an enormous importance to our people. We have, I'm proud to say that we have a very high caliber and well-experienced team in the fund. They're very well informed. They have been processing similar cases for the last 5-6 years. And I think that unless you leverage your people, but at the same time trying to develop a different mentality, an out-of-the-box thinking, as we call it, and put also processes in place that work in parallel, not in a very serial sequence, that can make a difference, especially when you have to deal with such a wide range and complicated stakeholders. I think one of the major challenges, which actually applies to all the assets, is the complexity of the assets and the wide range of stakeholders involved in that process. But I think going forward, there are specific assets. We like to describe those as being, our flagships. I'm referring to the Hellenic Petroleum, the Athens International Airport, and to the Egnatia Motorway, and also TAIPED on the energy sector. I think those assets have a very meaningful size going forward, potentially, and the performance that we will manage to demonstrate when it comes to the actual exploitation and management of those assets will actually determine the actual budget that we will manage to deliver. We did have a very successful tender process. It's not only about the size, the actual price that we managed to receive, which by the way it's approximately 35% higher than the previous uncompleted tender that we have in the past. But primarily what is of importance is the fact that we did have a consortium of European reputable names coming into the market, giving a vote of confidence to the market. They have a very good vested interest in the region, that not only the market will be liberalized further, but also the role of Greece will be enhanced when it comes to the energy sector. When it comes to the, to the synergies, by all means, I mean, when you have counterparties actually stepping to a number of places at the same time, this can always have a leverage on the potential impact going forward. I expect that most probably by the end of the next 6 months we will be able to have a financial completion of the transaction. When someone refers to the privatization of assets, especially when we address that to the public, to people, usually, the public, the people usually have the tendency to perceive the privatization processes as, if I may say, on a standalone ad hoc basis, rather than on a holistic strategic approach. What we do is exactly that. Yes, we do have very specific assets that we need to develop and to see how those assets can be enhanced further going forward. But on the other hand, there is a very wide spectrum of assets, and going forward, we need to answer ourselves to what extent those assets are complementary or not, they are competitive or not, if they can actually be developed in parallel or not when it comes to the privatization initiatives that we take. The Egnatia motorway is a very clear example. We're referring to one of the largest motorway roads. It crosses the north of Greece from east to west, and there are a number of regional ports at the end of Egnatia, not to mention the Thessaloniki port, which is one of the largest, one of the two largest ports in Greece. So if you develop the infrastructure of the port, the operations of the port, the logistics of the port, then you create traffic, and that traffic eventually feeds into the road, and vice versa. If you have a road, a complete road, which is safe, secure, provides speedy circulation and transport, that can actually attract a new interest, and that interest potentially will create traffic to the port. So there are, within the context of our strategy, within our plans, we intend to look to the assets not on a standalone basis, but try to see to what extent we can leverage one to the assets, and to what extent through this interoperability between the assets we can really create value. That it's not only the new capital, the expertise, the knowledge, the technology that goes along with that process, but also we have to consider the social economic impact that action can have to the local community, because especially, for example, when we are referring to ports, the Thessaloniki port is a very clear example. This is one of the largest ports within the city of Thessaloniki, so you cannot really expect that port to develop if there is not in a very good relationship with the city, if the city cannot really be part of the port and the port feeling that it is part of the city. And to that respect, in this particular example, we have provided full access, for example, of people to the port, and also we have given away a number of buildings for the community and for the municipalities to develop and organize specific activities. So you need to have this interaction, unless the people feel that it's something of their own, unless they feel that this is something that can really be proud of the next day, looking forward, you cannot really have a very good momentum on the privatization process. The Alexandroupoli port, which is on the east side, we do have this FSRU platform, the gas platform, being developing actually just outside the port. And also you have to consider the access that port can give to trade to the east and the north and to the Balkans. On the other side, we have the Igoumenitsa port, which is at the end again of the Egnatia motorway. If you visit the port, you're going to be impressed how the motorway literally gets into the ships. I mean, what we do is trucks coming into the port, get loaded, and travel to Italy. So the road path, the channel of traffic between Greece and Italy through that port, it's extremely important. We feel we should leverage on the marinas and the assets that we have related to tourism, because we feel Greece is one of the key destinations when it comes to tourism. So by all means, this is no-brainer that we need to move forward and try to do our best. On Alimos Marina, we have already entered the second phase of offers. Last week, the board of directors actually gave the green light to 8 out of 10 consortium regarding the Alimos. The interest is extremely good and extremely important. We have constructors, we have operators, we have local, we have international players, and it's going to be a challenge for us because it's the largest marina in Mediterranean. We're talking about 1,200 berthing places, and the potential of growth and the room of further improve the infrastructure of the marina and the logistics of the marina is immense. But apart from that, because we need to continue developing on that front, we have the Chios Marina as well, which is up and running, and most probably within the next couple of months we will be able to initiate tendering process for 2 or 3 another marinas, both, for example, in the case of Rhodos or in Kalamarian, the north side of Greece. At some point we will look into Mykonos marina as well, which is a high-profile marina. So this is another segment, another cluster of assets that we're very hands-on as we speak. I think what is important, and I think that's one of the aspects of the role that we have, is to try to demonstrate a very consistent and effective way in managing and enhancing and disposing the assets. Because if we manage to do so, that will uplift the profile of the country. That will create confidence, that will create a positive momentum, and that will attract the interest and the capital that we are all looking for. The good thing about the fund is that it's very open, it's very transparent. It has a very good, let's say, channels of communications with the investment community. Don't forget that we have been doing that work for the last 6 or 7 years. I think the fund is on the top of the radar of all the interested parties. We have been in the past, but we are still doing that in a rather active way. So fund is on the forefront of every communication and every effort when it comes to the privatization process. So I think get in touch with the fund is really easy. It's the difficult part is to make the decision, to consider the assets and put the money on the table. As you most probably know, our term ends at 2020, summer 2020. So right now the focus and the effort is to try to deliver on the commitments that we have taken. I feel confident that when it comes to the next day of TAIPED, if you take into account the knowledge that we have, the experience that we have acquired during the course of the past years, and also if you consider the kind of structure we managed to develop within our premises, I feel very confident that going forward the fund will have a very productive and efficient role to play for the economy and for the growth of the economy.